Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. So before I have done like deep dives on either an album or celebrity, and now I wanted to do more of a kind of compiled list of things, and today I'm going to be talking about PR stunts. I think they're fascinating, I think they're great, and they're incredibly entertaining. So I have compiled a list of 6 different PR stunts that we're going to talk about today. I think I picked some interesting ones. They're all kind of different. They're all from different periods of time. I've got some older ones, some newer ones. I thought we could do a PR stunt Olympics. So we've got gold, silver and bronze, and we will see who takes the cake. I know already. It's fixed, I know. So the ones that we are focusing on today are Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde, the Don't Worry Darling PR drama, the Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston relationship in general, but also the I Heart Taylor Swift tank top moment, iconically awful, the Kim Kardashian break the internet. Now this was like, I wasn't even really old enough to know what fully happened. I just remember seeing that magazine cover and being like, well, that doesn't look correct. Is that meant to bend like that? That one. Kind of related, we have the Paris Hilton and Britney Spears 2007 party girl, going out clubbing all the time, being paparazzi'd. Britney Spears with no underwear on. It was the time to be alive. The Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez 2.0 Bennifer, when they came back from the dead, and Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart's relationship when they were filming Twilight. So just in case you don't know what a PR stunt is, because I actually had to kind of research it before this, because I was like, are PR stunts always planned? And it turns out no. A PR stunt is basically a carefully planned move designed to grab media attention and control a public narrative. It doesn't have to be 100% fake, it tends to be based on truth. So for example, the Kristen Stewart Robert Pattinson one, that was more of damage control than anything. The Kristen Stewart cheating part was real, but the kind of makeup afterwards was all publicly planned for both of their images. So yeah, it's not so much about if it's real or if it's fake, it's more about how that is then used to drum up attention in either direction. So it can be a genuine relationship, a breakup, a public scandal, and then the attention that's already garnered around that can then be kind of manipulated into working in favour for somebody instead of being an absolute nightmare. But then again, you do have situations like the Kim Kardashian one where it was all just made for publicity and literally just to get Kim Kardashian attention. So just getting right into it, we're going to start with Tom Hiddleston and Taylor Swift. Taylor and Tom met at the 2016 Met Gala. Taylor was actually dating DJ Calvin Harris at the time, but she met Tom Hiddleston at the Met Gala, and there's a pretty famous video of them dancing together. And then later on Taylor wrote Getaway Car, which is basically about how she wanted to get out of the relationship with Calvin Harris. She just kind of used Tom Hiddleston. Taylor and Calvin's split was then reported by People magazine on June 1st, 2016. And then on June 15th, literally just a couple days later, 2 weeks later, Taylor was photographed kissing Tom on the beach in Rhode Island. And these weren't like blurry paparazzi photos that were like snuck from miles away. These were clear, up close paparazzi pictures where I feel like they could probably have actually had the camera click, like that is how close they were, and they were so staged. Taylor and Tom were like perfectly centered in the middle and like just so perfectly like posed. It just already screamed like this isn't real, especially when we know like Taylor Swift, if she doesn't want to be paparazzi, she won't be. So there was basically like no hiding the relationship. Like if they wanted to hide it, they would have, but they didn't. They wanted to be seen. This actually came just after the This Is What You Came For songwriting drama, which if you don't know, was Calvin Harris did an interview basically saying that he would never work on a song with Taylor because he thinks it would be a disaster, which really downplayed the fact that Taylor actually co-wrote This Is What You Came For. She did co-write it under a pseudonym of a name that I don't know if I can say. It is Nils Stjorberg is my guess. Taylor's team, after they broke up, took this information and leaked it to the press. This revealed that Taylor had actually co-written the song. So in true male fashion, Calvin then went on a Twitter rant and said that Taylor was basically trying to tear him down, and he even referenced Taylor's feud with Katy Perry. So a fast, fun new romance was basically the perfect way to soften her image, and it worked. As for Tom, the reason that this would benefit him is that there were actually rumours that he was being considered for the next James Bond. So it would get his name in the headlines basically, because he is now dating one of the biggest pop stars in the world. There's no way you can avoid that type of press, so this was fabulous for him. It would keep his name in people's minds, especially the people considering him for the role. So their relationship actually moved incredibly fast. They were meeting each other's families within a few weeks of the relationship even starting. This is something that PR absolutely loves. When the public and the press see that, you know, a new relationship has started and they're meeting the family, it's like, oh my gosh, it's serious. This is a big deal. Like, they really mean that they're like really in love and da da da. I mean, maybe. As they travelled around the world, they were paparazzied several times, meaning they wanted to be seen, because if Taylor doesn't want to be spotted, she literally will not be. I mean, we all know about the suitcase, you know. They were spotted in Rome, England and Australia. In each time they spotted, it was full of PDA. They were kissing, holding hands, hugging, making it very clear that they were in love, allegedly. And it gave more of the impression that they were trying to get the press's attention instead of just enjoying each other's company on a couple's holiday. Like, it was really forced. And I do also probably think they wanted to do this because the more places that they were spotted around the world, the more headlines they would be in those specific locations. So it's almost as if they were trying to kind of get their names in public press so that everybody knew about this. And I mean, it did work. Everybody did hear about this. Everybody cared. Especially, I mean, if I saw Taylor like in my city and this hot new relationship that everyone's talking about, I'd be like, oh my god, she was singing to me. You know, it works. Taylor threw a 4th of July beach party, and Tom was then spotted wearing the now iconic I Heart Taylor Swift, I think it was a vest or a t-shirt, whatever it was, with then like a love heart painted on his arm with a T in it. This instantly became a meme because not only was the relationship already so try hard, but this was just like on a whole other level of try hard. It was crazy. This just sent it over the edge. After this, they kept things public. Tom flew to Australia to film for Thor Ragnarok, and Taylor went and visited him on set for a bit. They were photographed holding hands and kissing, which is all incredibly public for Taylor, again, like I say, who tended to keep her previous relationships pretty private. By August, the tabloids then started to report that Taylor wasn't comfortable with how public Tom wanted things to be. Sources said that Tom loved the limelight and that Taylor wanted to keep things more private. This perfectly set the scene for an amicable breakup. Oh well, you know, you want things that I don't want, and well, I guess that's fine, we're just not meant to be. Oh, you know, like that's what it was. In late August, the paparazzi sightings started to slow down, and by September, breakup reports came out saying that they were still on good terms, which was a classic PR soft landing. That was it for them. You know, it was a fast burn, very fast. This worked for both of them because this absolutely flipped the narrative on her right after the Calvin Harris drama. So instead of, oh, messy breakup Taylor, it was, oh, Taylor's in a loved-up summer romance. Like, it just completely changed the way that she was perceived by people, and it just more changed like the news that people were talking about. People weren't focusing on her breakup, people were focusing on her new romance. And I think this kind of worked out in one way for her, but also didn't help so much in the other fact that people were already saying that Taylor was going through boyfriends left, right and centre and making jokes about it, which I do not agree with. Even if she dated 100 men, even if she did, who cares? It's her life. Like, it matters, it does. In the public limelight, it does matter. So paparazzi sightings of Taylor were much more interesting to people than some breakup with Calvin Harris. And for Tom, this relationship basically just made him a household name beyond Marvel fans. So he was only really known for playing Loki and maybe a couple of other roles in TV shows and movies, but now he was, oh my god, Tom Hiddleston, you know, the guy who's dating Taylor Swift. He's in all the Marvel movies, da da da. Like, that is then what became his reputation. And this was right as his career was peaking as well. Like, you have to remember, Tom, you know, he was in the new Thor. He was potentially being considered for a James Bond. That's massive. That is literally huge. So it would only really make sense that he did something else to boost himself up, to get himself to the level of someone that was maybe going to play a Bond. But that is everything for that one. I think that one's quite an interesting one. I do think it worked out pretty well for the both of them. I also don't think it was the best in terms of how it was actually done. I mean, everyone knew it was a PR relationship, like it was pretty obvious, so it's not the best one, but I think it's a good one. I think it's pretty funny to look back on and think, oh my god, why were we all so obsessed with these two people? So the next one is actually a really good one. So the next one is the Kim Kardashian Break the Internet Paper Magazine. Kim Kardashian teamed up with Paper Magazine for their winter 2014 issue. It was shot by Jean-Paul Gaultier and the goal was literally written on the cover: break the internet. The most famous shot was of Kim Kardashian holding a bottle of champagne with the fizz spraying over her head into a champagne glass that was perfectly positioned on her butt. And the champagne was going right in there. Was it? Did it even reach it yet in the picture? Whatever, it was aiming for it at least. It was looking like it was going in. There was actually also a full frontal nude image in this shoot, which I didn't know until I was researching. I didn't know I didn't want to see it. Not that there's anything wrong with how she looks. I was just scrolling the Paper Magazine, reading through it, and then titties and vagina. And there was also an oiled up booty shot, which I think I have seen before. That one didn't shock me as much. Why did this work? So the real goal was basically to get attention. That's all it was. Kim Kardashian was already famous for the sake of being famous. That is all that it was. So she was using that to her advantage. She was thinking, well, I'm famous. Anything that I do will get talked about. Let's do something super outrageous that will absolutely get talked about more than anything else that I could do. Because she walked down the street and she was getting talked about. It's like, it was very easy. And she thought, well, what can I do to top all that? Not only did it just create a conversation, it created controversy, it created memes. There was endless social media coverage of it because people just kept on thinking of new jokes and new criticisms to have about it. So this I don't see as a negative. I think Kim completely thought this through, and no matter whether it was positive or negative feedback, it was being talked about and it was in the headlines, and I think that's exactly what she wanted. And this basically made this phrase, break the internet, a commonly used phrase at that time. It was really genius because of how bold and shameless it was, as well as being incredibly self-aware. Kim knew exactly what she was doing by doing that, and it was funny, and she knew what she was doing. I mean, even just look at her face, the way that she is smiling and laughing on that picture. She is not just posing. She knows that is the face of a clever woman, and I think she's so smart for that. She was basically just using that shock value to dominate every headline for weeks. People called it too explicit and said that it was degrading. It was also accused of being photoshopped. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I know Kim has a big booty, but I don't think her spine actually bends that way. I don't know. The controversy only fueled the buzz around it though. Every new take was just a new opinion and new views, and this just kept going on and on and on. Unlike Taylor though, this one was not done as a distraction. This was a completely organic one that was created. This was not using anything that was already existing to make it thrive. This was a completely new creation that Kim made just for publicity, and it shows the kind of difference in PR stunts. So one side of it can kind of be used to cover up or to distract and deflect, whereas the other can just be used to gain more attention. You know, the kind of opposite if you think about it. And that is Kim. That one I think is a really good one. I think that's so funny. I think Kim is so iconic for that, and I love it. I just think it's brilliant overall. I think she did exactly what she wanted to do, and go her. Honestly, go her. Okay, next we will be talking about Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles. They met on the set of Don't Worry Darling, which Olivia directed and Harry was, I'd say, starring in, but he wasn't in it very much. They took the relationship public in January 2021 when they were photographed holding hands at a friend's wedding. There was a lot of drama, not only surrounding the relationship, but just the movie in general. I could go on and on about that. The first bit of drama surrounding the relationship was that Jason Sudeikis, who was Olivia's husband at the time, she was divorcing him, but they have kids together. Basically that Olivia had left Jason Sudeikis for Harry Styles. That is wild. That is crazy. If that is true, can we just have a moment for the article that was brought out by the nanny, because that was wild. The salad dressing, come on, crazy stuff. The tabloids absolutely loved reporting on this absolutely crazy, messy love triangle. And I think that even if Harry Styles wasn't involved, this would still be such a big story. I don't think it needed Harry to even thrive. I think the fact that it included Harry is absolutely crazy because I would say he's quite unproblematic. You know, you don't really hear much about him. He just kind of stays in his own lane. But I just think the fact that he was involved in this absolutely crazy drama is just so funny because like, it's just Harry Styles. Like, it's not that deep. There were also reports of tensions between Olivia and Florence Pugh, who actually starred in the movie. She was the leading lady. She was fabulous in the role in that film. This just added even more drama. That was what I would say is actually the bulk of the drama. I think the Olivia-Harry relationship could have even been a PR move to try and distract from all of that because it could be a whole video on its own. It was so crazy. And I would actually love to dive back into that because it was... what time to be alive. I remember watching all that drama in real time. It was great. The film festival. Do you remember when Harry spit on Chris Pine? It was gold. It was gold. I just remember waking up that day and being like, oh good lord. The film's press tour was a circus. It was a circus. There was obviously Harry spitting on Chris Pine. There was Florence Pugh not turning up to anything other than, did she show up to, was it like Venice Film Festival she showed up to and that was it? That was it. Girlie didn't show up to anything else. And she also showed up late. And it was so funny because she didn't even turn up because she was busy. They had scheduling conflicts. She was so busy. She was filming June 2, of course, duh. No, she posted a video on her Instagram story of her walking around a nice little looking house with a margarita or whatever kind of cocktail that was in her hand in a lovely outfit. But she was busy. She was really busy. God, I'm so sad Florence couldn't come. Damn June 2. Gosh. Why? Why? The relationship kept Don't Worry Darling in the headlines for probably longer than the actual film kept itself in the headlines. It was crazy. The movie was, it was okay. Florence did a fabulous job, but it was nothing like crazy. But every paparazzi picture seemed so perfectly timed with promo cycles or filming or whatever was going on. They were always spotted together just at the perfect times. Whether they were actually in love or not though, I will say their relationship worked to promote the film. I mean, it added so much extra drama to it. I do think it was quite funny how they broke up literally when the film was like done with. All the drama was over, all the press conferences were over, and it was like, okay, see ya. And the thing is, like, they stayed together while Harry was even touring. It would even make sense if like they broke up because Harry was touring and it was this and that. No, they stayed together through that, but as soon as that press was done, bye Harry, bye Olivia, bye Jason Sudeikis, bye your lovely salad dressing. Okay, now let's move on to Britney Spears and Paris Hilton, party girl, PR stunts, what time? So, in the mid-2000s, we all know Paris Hilton was the it girl, and Britney Spears was America's pop princess at the time. Everybody loved her until they didn't anymore. Britney was going through quite a turbulent period in her personal life at this time, and I don't think it helped at all. So Britney and Paris were constantly being photographed clubbing together, often with Lindsay Lohan, which, iconic. Do you remember that picture of them in the car? They ate that. Some notable moments were when Britney was getting into a car with Paris and Lindsay and she was caught with no underwear on. Girl, this was not just a one-time offense. Though when I googled this to, I don't know, morbid curiosity I suppose, why were there like 100 different, well, that's an exaggeration. I think I saw Britney Spears like 5 times. Cooch, just cooch, right out for everyone to see. Oh, I'm picturing it now. There was also the time when they crashed the Ritz-Carlton for an after party for something, and they were actually kicked out and they were then seen stumbling out from the hotel drunk. They were also spotted at popular clubs such as Les Deux and a club called Hyde. Paris then openly admitted years later that she had deliberately encouraged the attention from the paparazzis and would even tip them off of where they were going to be. As for Britney, this was much more complicated. She was genuinely struggling at the time, and being seen with Paris did keep her name in the headlines, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. This was around about the time that she was getting major public scrutiny, and from reading her book I've also found out that her parents really didn't encourage this. But not only that, there were headlines that Britney was doing drugs, that she was, you know, engaging in things that didn't look great. None of that's true. Britney, she would get drunk. She would drink with her friends, but that is completely legal, and also nothing wrong with it at all. And she would get shit for it, and it's just just don't get it. What are the double standards? Like, why did everybody hate Britney so much but Paris could do it and it was fine? Why was she held to this higher standard? It's crazy. The impact of this one I wouldn't say is as positive as others. Paris, yeah, this was great for her. She got her name out there. There were pictures of her everywhere. Always headlines of Paris just being stupid because she always knew that it didn't really matter for her. Her image did not matter for her as much as it did for Britney, because Britney was still relying on her talent and her fans to get by, whereas, I mean, Paris is already a nepo baby, but she also got famous for that. She got famous for being famous, much like Kim Kardashian. She hasn't got any talent, you know? I mean, Stars Are Blind is a banger, but do I think that it deserves a Grammy? Yeah, of course. Because of this as well, for Britney, this was actually used against her in the conservatorship battle as proof that she was unstable. I mean, how? Hello. It's a new day. I had to stop filming last night because my camera ran out of charge. Sorry. But we're just gonna pick up. The next one is Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, and this one, I remember this happening in real time and I remember being like, Kristen, how could you do that? Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson both starred in the 2008-2012 film adaptation of the Twilight books series. They played Edward and Bella, the two main characters, and then things got romantic in real life. In 2008, Twilight began filming and they meet. Rumours immediately started that they were dating, that they were flirting, that this and that, but nothing was confirmed, and I honestly don't even think that was true. I think that people were just saying that, but it was just because they were love interests in a film. It always happens. Then in 2009 they were caught hanging out off set. Again, nothing too out of the ordinary. I mean, you make friends with these people, you're gonna be working with them for a long time. But apparently they were staying at the same hotel during press tours. Again, not too out of the norm, I don't think. I mean, if you're going to do the same interviews, why would you not stay at the same hotel where you're going to be close to where the interview is taking place? Or maybe the interview's even in the hotel, who knows. There was still no confirmation that they were dating. But then, mid-2010, Christian is photographed wearing Rob's t-shirt and sneaking into his hotel during the Twilight Eclipse promo, and then they were spotted kissing on a balcony in Montreal of August. What was that? In August of that same year, that basically confirmed the relationship was relationshiping. And then in 2011 they were confirmed dating, but they kept it pretty low-key. And then in July 2012, all hell breaks loose. Kristen was photographed kissing Rupert Saunders, who was the director of the film that she was starring in at the time, Snow White and the Huntsman. She then issued Rob a very theatrical public apology, which obviously, like I just said, they kept their relationship very private, so this was very odd for the time. The tabloids loved it. They ate it up. And that is where this PR stunt begins, is when she posted that apology, because they were just rubbing their hands together. In August 2012, Rob then does some interviews for the movie that he was starring in at the time, which I think was called Cosmopolis? I don't know. But this was right after the scandal, so everyone was seeing it as, oh no, sad Rob, broken-hearted Rob, oh I love Rob. Which completely boosts the sympathy for him, and it then keeps the Twilight fans involved as well, because how could she do this to Edward? Oh, sorry. I mean Rob. So then in October, November time of 2012, just weeks before Breaking Dawn Part 2 premieres, Rob and Kristen are photographed holding hands and allegedly working things out. Fans immediately are like, oh my god, it is a true love story. It is a true love story. They made it through it. They made it through one of the toughest challenges, and they're so in love. It's like Bella and Edward. Oh my god. And then in November 2012 they walk the red carpet together, looking happy and reconciled and in love, which obviously then just sells this Bella and Edward love story just one last time. And then we don't hear much from them until May 2013, where they quietly split and RIP. What was their ship name? Was it like Robston? RIP Robston? The whole thing just screams damage control, because it's like, shit, Kristen has cheated, but we're not done with Edward and Bella yet, so what are we gonna do? Well, of course, they're gonna reconcile and he's gonna forgive her because he's such a good person. because it's true love. And they're not gonna let that slip away as easy. And then I think as well as that, they saw a bad situation and they thought, well, it's still being talked about, so let's get it talked about as much as possible. Let's, you know, milk it for what it's worth. I don't know, I think that one's quite a good one. I think they did a good job of that. I mean, I'll never forgive Kristen for breaking poor Rob's heart. I think they'll be fine. Now moving on to Bennifer 2.0. So if you don't know, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez.
No to say, mi gente latino.
Which, how could you miss it? It is like the hottest gossip. They were the original 2000s It tabloid couple, and they had everything that the fans and the tabloids loved. So they had a wedding in 2003 that was actually cancelled because it was getting too much attention, too much media attention, so they had to cancel it. But then shortly after that, in 2004, they broke up, saying that the press made it impossible for them to have a normal relationship. However, there are rumours that they actually broke up because of the strain caused by the film Giggly, which I had never heard of. I didn't know all of this lore. But basically, Giggly was a romantic comedy that starred Ben and Jennifer. Ben was cast to play a low-level mobster who had to babysit a mentally challenged man, and then Jen played a lesbian hitwoman who fell for Ben. The film was a flop. It did not do well, probably why I haven't heard of it, and I'm sure nobody else has. It ended up being given so bad it's good ratings from critics. This damaged both of their careers. More, I would say probably more Ben's than Jennifer's, because Jennifer always had music. That was what her like original thing was. But Ben, he was an actor, and he was a serious actor. There were then rumours that Ben wanted to distance himself from the whole Bennifer brand and the spectacle that it had ended up becoming, to focus more on serious acting roles and kind of pretend that Giggly never happened, which unfortunately poor Jennifer was kind of a big part of. We fast forward almost 20 years to April 2021, when Ben and Jennifer are spotted together right after Jennifer breaks up with A-Rod. Very suspicious, perfect timing, because Jennifer was just promoting her film Marry Me, and she had started teasing new music. Then in July 2021, they make it Instagram official, hell yeah, by posting a photo of them on a yacht for her birthday, and the internet absolutely lost it because, of course, what's the one thing we all remember about Bennifer? It's those boat pictures, duh. In 2022, they have a surprise Vegas wedding and then a ceremony in Georgia, which had absolutely loads of coverage. I mean, like weeks and weeks and weeks of coverage, which conveniently kept Jennifer in the press on the lead up to her This Is Me Now album and tour. And it just so happened to be that this album was all about Ben. Isn't that crazy? That is wild, that is so crazy. This worked really well for the both of them because it gave Jennifer the free promo for her new projects by not even doing anything. She literally just had to be in a relationship, and it was like, Bennifer's back, this and that, the music, oh my god. And then the added element of that album being all about Ben meant that fans might want to listen to the album, dissect it a bit more, and people that maybe weren't going to listen to the album originally would now listen to it just to find out the gossip and the drama and what happened in these 20 years when we didn't hear from them. And then for Ben, it was quite a big change because this brought him from being the sad divorced Batman who was just always grumpy all the time, collecting his Uber Eats from the front door and seen smoking that cigarette, to being this like nice guy Ben. You know, it kind of helped transform his image of being that alcoholic guy that cheated on Jennifer Garner with the nanny, to this guy that's now in a committed relationship with his sweetheart from years ago, and maybe it was true love after all. You know, it had people thinking that. And it was also really good to get him some more press because Ben, it was a bit of a lull in his career, much like it was a lull in Jennifer's career, to be fair. I mean, she needed something to kind of boost her out there, so it was probably positive for the both of them in that sense, but he needed something to get him back into the spotlight and into the media, which is really funny when you look at it, because isn't that the whole reason why he left Jennifer in the first place, was to avoid all of this tabloid attention, and now he wants it back because he's fallen off. So then in the end, they actually ended up getting divorced. In 2024, Jennifer filed for divorce on their second wedding anniversary, which is just classic, and she cited that it was irreconcilable differences, which we could have saw that coming. It kind of feels like they got together to get this attention, and then when it didn't work out as perfectly as they had intended it to, it wasn't worth being together. I really don't think they were meant to be together in any way. They probably had grown apart so much in those 20 years that even if they maybe could have stayed together despite the media attention in the past or whatever it was, it would never have lasted anyway, because I just don't think they're meant for each other. I think the timing of it is perfect. I mean, right after Jennifer's breakup, perfect. It is now time for the medal ceremony. So the bronze medal goes to, drum roll please, Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde for the Don't Worry Darling PR circus. I just think this one was great. I mean, we have to just look at the whole situation and really appreciate the fact that it was incredibly entertaining for the viewer. Whether it worked in their favour or not, I would say it did. I would say it got the film promotion, if that is how we're looking at it. As for Olivia and Harry's careers, Harry didn't really suffer from it. I don't think Olivia, it wasn't so good for her, but I do feel like the Harry relationship at least gave people something else to focus on, rather than just constantly focusing on the she's a fake feminist, she's doing this for performativeness, she's paying Harry Styles loads more than Florence Pugh, the actual star of the movie. And I think that most of that was rumours, but the fake feminist thing is like kind of proven, because like, girl. I honestly think that the movie got so much more press because of their relationship and because of most of the things surrounding it than it ever would have just on its own. That is absolutely nothing against Florence or the other actors in the film. It is more just against the fact that the film wasn't great. Like, Florence's performance was fabulous, but the film in itself, I think it was hyped up a lot and then ended up not being the spectacle that everybody was expecting it to be. Okay, the silver medal goes to, another drum roll, Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, the Twilight breakup and then reunion. I think this was fabulous. I think they did pretty well doing damage control on this. We don't hear so much about the breakup time, we just kind of brush past that now. And the cheating thing is still a biggish thing, but it was never the main promo around Twilight. Twilight managed to keep itself on top, and I think that was done very well. It was such suspicious perfect timing though, that is why we're like certain that it definitely was a PR stunt, allegedly. They managed to get a cheating scandal that was something so negative into a full-blown love story. Like, how do you do that? How can you turn Kristen Stewart cheating on Robert Pattinson into, oh my god, it's true love, real life Edward and Bella? Like, how does that happen? It was probably not as good for Kristen as it was for Rob, but that was her own doing. I mean, you can't say anything. It was literally her actions and her consequences. But they still managed to get people back on Kristen's side, despite the fact that she literally cheated on somebody, which is horrible. Okay, moment of truth. Who gets the gold? Place your bets. I'll wait. Okay. It goes to Kim Kardashian break the internet. I think that was hopefully pretty obvious. I mean, she literally did a fabulous job with that. Absolutely no scandal was even needed to create this scandal. This was a one-of-a-kind, completely brand new PR stunt, and I think it was great. I think it was perfectly planned, I think it was perfectly executed, and she got exactly what she wanted from it, and that was the fame and the scandal, and it was brilliant. I think the whole thing is camp. I think the fact that she literally stood there completely naked, all oiled up, and was smiling at the camera looking like, I have got you, I have broke the internet, I have made headlines, and it hadn't even come out yet. But she knew what she was doing, and I think it was great. She just wanted it to get coverage, and that's exactly what it got. If you say the phrase break the internet, even 11 years later in 2025, people will know exactly what you're referencing. It made that much of an impact, and I think it was perfect. I think it was the perfect PR stunt. And that is everything. So thank you for watching this. I had a fabulous time filming this. It was so much fun, and I really enjoyed learning about them. I mean, I knew about all of these. I picked these all because they were ones that I personally remember or found interesting, but I wanted to do a little bit more research into them and then rank them in a fun way. This is definitely one that I could do several parts for, so we will have a little look at doing that. But I'm just trying to keep things fresh, trying to do a couple of different options, see what works, and I'm just having so much fun doing these little videos. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, because every time I look, I get really excited. I said that in the last one, but it's actually so true. If you want to see more videos that are kind of like this, or like the last one, then you could like maybe subscribe. That would be so cool. I don't know, no pressure though, no pressure. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!